back to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. Means back to the business. Means back to the trenches. You ain't even got a mention. I got vision. I got vision. I got vision. What? I got vision. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Friday Night Live. The post-Christmas special is what we're going to go with tonight. I am Slim, as always, joined by JT. My brother, how you doing tonight? How was your Christmas?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it was a really good Christmas. Just spent a lot of time chilling out today, watching some college football, watching the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. A marquee matchup with Florida International and UTSA.
Yep, I got it on right now. It's a barn burner.
Yes, it sure is. But yeah, it was good. How was your Christmas?
It's always good coming back and being able to spend time with the family. Yeah, getting to see a bunch of family that you don't normally get to see throughout the year. Ate some good food, had some good laughs. Now that it's over, kind of focused on moving into the new year and kind of turning that page from 2025 to 26.
When you scheduled to go home, because there's a big ice storm Saturday night.
My regular job, I don't have to be back till the 5th, so I currently have no schedule on when I could be going back. So we could be sitting in the same basement next week potentially.
There you go.
I don't know how likely that is, but we'll see where it goes.
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and move right into kind of our first burning topic tonight. I don't know what side you want to start on, if it's the good news or the bad news. I'll kind of let you pick.
Yeah, so I think actually I'll start with the staff.
Hey, before you move on here, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in our third member of the team here, Mr. Young Bakes. How you doing, brother?
What's up? I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Doing all right.
What's up?
You got here just in time for the meat and potatoes. JT, go ahead.
Yeah, so been a lot of movement in Cyclone football these past couple of weeks. I know we really didn't touch on it last week. Basically, it sounds like kind of behind the scenes, the Cyclones coaching staff is kind of set in stone. Although I'm not really going to beat you guys over the head with it today. We're just going to touch on 2 or 3 of the ones that have been kind of officially announced. The first one I think we kind of talked a little bit about already is the offensive coordinator. Tyler Roll is going to come back to Cyclone Nation. Previously, before his first stint with Iowa State 2 years ago, he had kind of been a North Dakota guy, spent some time in the same coaching circles as Jimmy Rogers, which I believe is where they kind of fostered their relationship. And then Roll kind of got a big break last year. He was the tight ends coach for the Detroit Lions. And so it kind of sounds like that Tyler Roll wants to bring sort of a pro style offense to the Cyclones. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. We haven't really seen anything like that in Ames in a while. So it sounds like that's kind of the plan. Pretty significant change in scheme in Ames. It kind of used to be kind of a really spread offense, at times kind of an air raid offense, but it sounds like they kind of want to be a pro style offense, which probably feeds some of the transfer news. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to have Roll back. Obviously, the last time that Iowa State picked a sitting NFL tight ends coach to be their offensive coordinator didn't work out so well when they rehired Tom Manning. But we'll just hope that this goes a little bit better. I think certainly you like the continuity. Obviously, the retaining the roster hasn't worked out so well, but he's certainly a familiar face. Did you have any thoughts on him before I roll on to the next guy?
Yeah, I think with the kind of moving to the pro style offense, one of the kind of the bigger problems for the Clones there in the last couple of years is they kind of get stagnant with that shotgun motion. And, I've read a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks about how the quarterback game has really changed and quarterbacks can't really read defenses no more. I'm sure you guys seen the little clip of Kirk Cousins kind of breaking down how to read a defense there. I think that was maybe last week he did that in a post-game press conference or something like that.
Yeah.
But just these quarterbacks, the way they train them anymore, nobody really understands defenses because defenses kind of really moved themselves to the next level of complexity. And you could see a guy like Phillip Rivers come into the NFL that hasn't played for 5 years, and he can read a defense better than someone that's maybe sat around for 5 or 6 years on the bench for some teams. So I think kind of moving to an offense like this, you might be preparing your offensive players a little better for maybe a pro push. It remains to be seen if you are going to get guys that are going to be able to maybe reach that level or get there. But this certainly gives you a vessel to kind of maybe persuade someone that has, intentions of maybe making it to the next level at least. And you're giving them a system that's familiar that, they can, if they excel, then they're going to be 2 steps ahead moving to the next level.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Guys are, especially in this NIL era, guys are always looking kind of to the next step. And I think it's smart to embrace that. And I think having a pro style offense can be really attractive to a certain type of player. Certainly not everybody, but it's not the sexiest thing. I mean, it sounds like our offenses might look a little similar to the team out in Iowa City, which is fine. It certainly worked for them. So I'm not hating when I say that. So yeah, excited for Roll. The other coordinator that was announced was a little less known, and that's Jesse Bobbitt. Jesse has kind of followed Rodgers kind of since his South Dakota days.
He's essentially Rodgers Haycock.
Yeah, basically. They've kind of been with each other, since day one, more or less, from Rodgers' head coaching days. And it kind of sounds like more or less. This is something that has really impressed me about Rodgers is that so his team at Washington State was really good on defense, but not so great offensively.
Yes.
So instead of bringing his entire staff, like a lot of coaches do, it sounds like that Rodgers is pretty much going to bring his entire defensive staff from Washington State. But he's going to go, as we've seen, he's going to go a little outside the box, kind of go the free agent route when it comes to his offense, which I think is a really impressive level of self-awareness. I know there's a lot of pressure to be loyal to your guys, as we've kind of sometimes seen, especially with Matt Campbell. I kind of felt like he could be loyal to a fault, which is kind of interesting.
That's kind of what makes this tough, is that we're kind of moving away from that and moving in a different direction from what we've seen.
Yeah. It's kind of the opposite of what Matt Campbell is doing, where I think that we can agree that Campbell's bread and butter side of the ball has always been his defense. That Iowa State team has always been known for its defense, and it really doesn't sound like there's going to be a whole lot of guys from that defensive staff at Iowa State at Penn State. I think Deion Broodfield is going to be there, but like basically from what I've heard, nobody else from that defensive staff is going to be there. Now, obviously, John Haycock retired. It sounds like Eli Rashid might retire. And then it kind of sounds like that Matt Campbell's kind of copying and pasting his entire offensive staff at Penn State. So that'll be kind of an interesting dynamic to watch. But anyway, yeah, just kind of excited to see what Bobbitt brings. Sounds like, we should expect another generation of good defense at Iowa State. And then the one, I don't think you don't have a graphic for this yet because it hasn't been officially mentioned, but I did want to mention the name.
Yep, I know where you're going. Yeah, go ahead.
Pete Thamel reported for the quarterbacks coach, and essentially Pete Thamel said that Iowa State is expected to hire Arkansas State OC. He said OC. I think he was actually the quarterbacks coach. Keith,
I believe you're right. No, he's going to be the quarterbacks.
He's
going to be the quarterbacks coach at Iowa State, but he was the OC at Arkansas State, I believe. I think that's how that worked.
Okay, it looks like he might have been the OC and quarterbacks coach at Arkansas State.
And then that's a two-piece bit of information. Do you want to go ahead and spill the second part of that?
Yeah, so I guess first I'll say that I think there's some other reasons to be excited about this hire, which I'll get to in a second. In a vacuum, I'm not quite as enthused with this hire. I mean, if you would tell me that we're going to hire a guy that's been at Arkansas State for what 6 years without moving around,
Yeah,
I
you're right.
wouldn't be as excited. That's especially, but obviously his Keith Heckendorf is known for being the quarterback coach at UNC prior to that, from 2014 to 2018. So he was Mitch Trubisky's quarterbacks coach. So that's where.
Okay.
So I guess whether or not you're excited that he coached Mitch Trubisky, obviously, to trying to remember that Mitch Trubisky was good in college. So the part about Hickendorf that really excites me is a transfer portal name that could link to Iowa State now, and that's Jalen Rager or Jalen Rager. Yeah, he is the quarterback at Arkansas State, and Iowa State fans know him very well because he torched the Cyclones
Absolutely.
pretty well this past year down in wherever Arkansas State is. So
We're gonna say Arkansas State City.
yeah, Arkansas State City. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Rager is a name that is attached to Iowa State. I did see that he followed Roll and Rogers on Twitter today, which kind of shows there's at least some mutual interest there.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
the only thing that,
Hold on. I think I might have a graphic that I can pull up for that before you can say
Okay.
that again.
yeah, while you're talking about that, I guess the only thing, I don't know if he would be interested in a pro style offense. Obviously, he's a running quarterback,
There you go.
interested in kind of running around, run and shoot, West Coast offense type of quarterback. So, but who knows? Maybe he's interested in switching over to a pro style offense. That's the only thing that I'm wondering about, if the scheme fit is there. But I guess if you were to tell me at this point, where there's a lot of uncertainty with Iowa State's roster right now, I would be perfectly happy with him being Iowa State's starting quarterback. How do you feel about that, Josh?
Yeah, he's only got 1 year. So, I mean, if you can bring him in and the system that we're going to run is kind of similar to what he's already running, it's not going to be too much of a change. You're bringing over a coach that's already coached him for a couple of years. So there's going to be a decent amount of continuity with that. I know Moberly is staying. He's still, I'm pretty sure, a redshirt freshman. So I don't know how ready he maybe is to lead the team. The fact that he reaffirmed his commitment and is staying makes me believe that he wants to play for Rogers, and he's kind of here for the long haul, and maybe he's the guy of the future. And maybe that has something to do with Mansky making his decision to leave. We can kind of get into the who's leaving here in a minute, but
that's a good point.
I'd have no problem with him for a year. You know, maybe he might be a guy that could lead you to 8 wins in the Big 12. I guess I haven't looked at what their schedule is next year. I know it's not insanely tough.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I believe your team hitting the portal this year it's going to be very, very important for you guys. You guys are going to need to get some guys who are really, really hungry on defense and on offense.
Absolutely.
As far as quarterbacks, I believe you guys have a 4-star backup quarterback that is looking to transfer, is what I'm hearing.
He announced today or yesterday that he's transferring.
Yeah. And I also hear that he has been linked to Nebraska.
I knew you were going to say that. I was going to try and beat you to it.
Which that's something we should all keep our eyes out for. So I'm interested in seeing what happens with that.
He's a good guy. I'd rather see him go to Nebraska than Iowa. So, and he's from Algona. So I don't know what his ties are growing up. I know he wanted to be a Cyclone. I guess I don't know what his second options would be, but I mean, you would have to assume it's probably somewhere here in the Midwest if it's D1.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like, in addition to the schools that you guys mentioned, of course, I guess we'll say that the name that we're talking about is Alex Mansky,
Yes.
who was a true freshman quarterback at Iowa State, who had appeared to have edged Connor Moberly as the kind of number two guy, number two quarterback. Although I think Moberly had dealt with some injuries, so I don't know where that plays in. But I know that a lot of people are really high on Mansky. He probably has a higher ceiling than what Moberly does. I guess I think that there's a chance that he could follow Matt Campbell to Penn State.
I could see that.
And
Yeah,
then
that
it
could be
sounds
a
like
situation to look
The
forward
coach
to.
in
Sounds like
waiting,
the
the
other-
quarterback in
the
waiting,
quarterback in waiting,
basically.
yeah.
Yep.
And it sounds like the other name that you could see is that for those that may have forgotten, when Mansky was getting recruited to Iowa State, I believe he had already committed to Iowa State. Texas A&M actually made a pretty significant run at him, and of course, Colin Klein is now back at Kansas State. So I think that Kansas State could be in play as well for Mansky. Mansky is a very similar quarterback to Colin Klein, and you could just see Mansky kind of terrorizing Big 12 defenses like Colin Klein did back in the day. He's kind of a big bruising quarterback, which is unfortunately the type of quarterback that I think Rodgers and Roll are kind of looking at. So yeah, it's definitely a bummer, but like you said, it was really nice to see that Connor Moberly has decided to stick around, despite maybe being the number 3 guy. He's actually the guy that we've seen a little bit more of. He played a little bit last year when Rocco got knocked out. I believe yeah, that's right, because Rocco got knocked out in the Big 12 championship game, and we got to see Moberly a little bit then.
And he played a little bit his freshman year too, didn't he?
I believe
I think they
so.
split snaps at one point before Rocco finally edged him out as the guy.
That was JJ Cole.
Well, Cole never saw the field very much, so I think Moberly kind of got in there later in the year and at least seen some snaps because I know he's been there.
Well,
for
I know
years now.
I know that he had this past year was Moberly's second year. He was a redshirt freshman. There were some cases where like Moberly came in like intentionally, like as he came in and ran some running plays. We saw that the past couple of years. So certainly the staff saw a lot from him from the kind of running side of things. But yeah, as you can kind of see, they're just more broadly talking about the guys that we've seen transfer. Carson Hansen was certainly a tough blow.
Yeah, and that's a disappointment. You thought maybe he would stay.
Yeah, especially with
it's important that you guys retain some experience for sure.
Well, I would have between the two of them, I would have preferred that Hansen stayed over Sama, but Sama's the Iowa boy, so I guess that makes sense. But damn it, we need someone to run down the middle, not bounce it out every time.
Right. Yeah, and it sounds like that Sama also kind of to be determined.
I also hear that Dion's coming for your offensive line. Is that the truth to that?
He can have him. He can have him.
I don't know, that could be.
Well, I mean, shit, you can have whoever you want at this point. Look, I mean, this list right here is 10 offensive. I'm pretty sure all these guys are starters, and then you got 2, 4, 6, 7 guys on defense that were starters.
Yeah. I mean, they're gone, so I don't really care where they go. So
I prefer that they not go to the Big 12. If they were to go anywhere, I prefer all these guys don't go to the Big 12 because it's going to piss me off twice as much having to potentially watch them whoop our ass next year.
Yeah, I'd rather just
or in the years in the future. So I would prefer that, maybe go to Penn State. Actually, I prefer please go to Penn State. This is my marketing campaign. So this is a list of transfers? Yes, these are guys that have so far announced. Yes.
Okay. That's quite a bit. It almost looks like Auburn's team. I swear Auburn's whole first team is just like entered the portal.
Yeah, other than Mansky for that top portion for the offense, all 9 of those guys were starters. It really kind of sucks that you're losing Eskelson. He kind of had maybe a potential to solidify himself as a cycling legend next year. He kind of really came out of the woodwork this year and made a name for himself. Townsend,
because he's a legacy guy.
Yeah, Townsend, he never really got it going this year, but
no, he never did. I think he was hurt a little bit, but you're right, he never quite got it going.
Yeah, he had like a hamstring earlier in the year, and I don't think he ever recovered from it. But he played in high school with Rocco, so if he could have ever got healthy and got on the same page, they could have. I guess we'll never know. But and then Bramer and Burkle, I think those are the two that probably behind Beck, those two hurt the worst, if not more, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know. I keep forgetting that Burkle really tore up his knee really bad. So he wasn't going to help Iowa State next year anyway.
I forgot about that.
He was a big name. But Bramer's kind of the big loss besides Rocco on that list. I think there was a chance that we were going to lose Bramer anyway. I think he's gonna be a highly touted guy. I don't know if you guys saw that kid on Twitter that got a Ben Bramer jersey for Christmas. And
Yes. Yep. Sure did.
poor kid.
If he was smart, he'd try and go seek him out to have him sign it, and then that shit could be worth some decent coin here. In 10, 15 years, depending on what happens. That could be an investment for his future.
Yeah,
that could pay for one meal in college in 10 years.
I guess one thing I kind of want to more broadly like a more not specific to Iowa. Well, it is specific to Iowa State, but it's a more broad concept because it's something that I'm seeing a lot of fans are really hating on these guys. They're really talking shit, talking about how, the whole thing with Iowa State, loyal sons forever true. They're really throwing that back in their face.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they're having a little bit of a meltdown on the fact that these guys are leaving. I think you guys aren't quite on that side of things, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts because, I just think it's just how things are these days. These guys are gonna follow their guy Matt Campbell. They're more loyal to a coach rather than a school. That doesn't mean that they have any hate for Iowa State or that they were phony. It's just
absolutely.
I feel for these guys. I don't have any ill will towards any of them.
Biggs, I know I got something to say. Do you want to go first here?
Yeah, I'll go first. To be honest with you, once they're off the team, they're off the team. If they want to announce they want to leave, you got to let them go. Everything's a situation, and following a coach that recruited you and that you spend time with and that you
built that bond with,
or two, or three. Yeah, I could completely understand that. No love lost with that.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of disappointed to see how some of Cyclone Nation is reacting. I assume Josh, you're kind of in the same boat as we are.
I got a lot of Huskers that are leaving as well, and it's nothing I can do about it. If I had NIL money to give, I sure would be having some conversations. But
shit, man. I know every coach in America right now. We heard Kenny Dillingham say it. He wants someone to stroke a $20 million check. Someone in the city can do it, right? But it's the problem is we've reached the tipping point of we've moved into where these guys are basically professionals now, but we're still trying to treat them like college athletes. And the loyalty is now shifted from I'm playing for Iowa State to I'm playing for Matt Campbell. And that has now shifted kind of into I don't really care about the university. I couldn't even tell you if these guys actually even go to class. I don't know what their schedule consists of. I feel like they probably got to be in the facilities, studying film, training, working out, practicing. I would assume they're probably working like professional athletes at this point. And so I don't know what that balance of schedule looked like. And, I could be totally wrong. Rocco just graduated in 3 years. So, or maybe I think he graduated a semester early, actually, because he's a redshirt senior, right? Or is he a junior?
He's a redshirt junior.
Redshirt junior. Yeah. So he's on his 4th year then. So he graduated on schedule. But, some of these guys, I just don't know what their daily schedule looks like. And it's funny because 10 years ago, Iowa State lost their head basketball coach in Fred Hoiberg to the Chicago Bulls, and they brought in Steve Prohm, and every single player on that team stayed. Now, I heard last week Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic was talking about George Niang, and he said he talked to Niang about 3-4 years after that was done and asked him if they wanted to play for Prohm, and he said, hell no. None of them wanted to stay. But the climate's changed. Back then you had to sit out. You had to sit out for a year. So if you're going to transfer, maybe that's something you bring back potentially.
And maybe he just loved Iowa State that much, where it was very, very important that he stayed where he was at to just go ahead and prove that point that we're here for Iowa State and we need to put up these numbers.
Well, it's either that or it's I don't want to sit out for another year because a lot of those guys for Iowa State transferred into the program and they already sat out for a year. So, at that point, if they have pro ambitions, now you're taking 2 years off of your pro career to fuck around in college and you're not getting paid for it. Like Chad Baker Mazzara that's played for almost 17 D1 teams, it seems like at this point, and it has a mortgage and 2 kids.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're in the final stage of the COVID rule bending kind of the Wild West of college basketball. It'll be interesting to see what kind of comes of it moving forward in that sense. And college football is kind of in the same boat. You know, you can't tell me that there's going to be some guy that's going to give Indiana University $20 million every year to go out and win football games. I mean, that might work for 2 years, 3 years, maybe, but 5 years, that's $100 million I'm committing to you. Is 9 wins?
Yeah, you're right.
Is 9 wins in football? Is that worth it?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to go back to what you said about those Iowa State guys, because that's something. Once you get into that book, that's something that one of the chapters talks about is how, like you said, a lot of those men's basketball players are pretty much on record as saying is that if they had been allowed to, or I guess it had been more to their benefit, those guys weren't sticking around. You know, Monte Morris was going to transfer, and you know, Matt Thomas was going to transfer, and then all guys like that.
Matt Thomas with the 3. That was my boy.
Yeah, Jamel McKay fucking hated Steve Prohm.
Yeah. And then on the football side of things, I guess this isn't talked about in the book, but I forget where it was, but Alan Lazard is basically on the record that's saying if the transfer rules and NIL rules were like they were today, when Paul Rhodes gets hired, he's not sticking around for Matt Campbell for a senior year. He was going to go to Notre Dame.
Oh, 100%.
Get paid a lot of money. And so it's kind of it's almost kind of disturbing a little bit to hear them admit that, because these are kind of our loyal sons forever true. But it just kind of is what it is, you know. I mean, I have no doubt that these guys love Iowa State and they love Ames, but at the end of the day, they had to look out for their own well-being and their own lives within the boundaries of the rules at the time. So I think at some point we just have to appreciate the times that we had and realize that now and going forward, it's going to be quite a bit different.
Well, and I guess last thing I want to say on this before we kind of move on here is, you know, I told my my aunt and uncle and my parents earlier tonight, you know, because they were kind of getting into this conversation before we came on the air. And I told them straight up, I said, there's a ton of nasty things I would probably do for $1 million if it was legitimately put in front of my face and asked me to do it. Good chance I might do it if I could do that legally, playing sports and doing something I love. I mean, regardless of how I feel about whatever. I mean, if you gave me $1 million to go be a Hawkeye fan tomorrow, I mean, I'm probably still going to root for the clones in the closet, but it's all black and gold in the closet from that point for me, at least publicly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you should never get mad at someone for like trying to upgrade their life and make more money or have
absolutely
better chances. So, I mean, the NIL era is like the wild, wild west, man. It is what you get. Better know, do your research, be confident, and you need to shine when you show up at your new destination. I think those things are very, very important.
I think that's kind of the next thing we're going to run into is this will probably go on, I'd say, for maybe another 5 years in football, as prolific as it is. And you're going to see a bunch of these teams that continue to go after transfer guys that have transferred 5 or 6 times. I mean, you get to your senior year, you played for 5 schools, you played under 5 different systems, 5 different coaches, you know, 5 different groups of guys. How can you build any rapport with anybody at that point, you know?
Well, I think they're changing the rules where you could only transfer once without having to sit out, you know.
They need to do something like that, and I mean, that alone would deter a lot of guys from.
But when you sit out, like you lose that year of eligibility, like altogether. I believe it's how they're going to do it.
Oh, I like that even more, actually.
Yeah,
I like that even more.
Yeah.
Well, that would take it back to kind of what it was when Hoiberg brought up the basketball program. You got to sit out for a year, and you can only transfer once, so make it count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just I guess I don't know what the NCAA. I know there's a lot of things being thrown around. Really, the problem is that the NCAA is trying to set forth these rules, and they keep getting sued about it, and that's kind of where we're at. So, and that's why if
litigation.
Yeah, they're starting rock fights, and they're losing every single one of them because we're throwing bigger rocks than they are, because they've thrown the rocks for 80 years. They're a $1 billion corporation, but they're supposed to be nonprofit. I don't know how you can explain to me how that works.
Yeah, and so that's why if there's anything with any teeth, it's going to have to come from legislation at this point. because the NCAA has done all they can. It's just they keep getting sued because it's a very individual freedoms type subject. Transfer limits and things like that. So
Right.
and of course the argument kind of against the NCAA, people bring this up a lot, is that when they were kind of in power, if they had just been a little bit more reasonable with
Yeah,
some of the rules that
100%.
they had,
For
probably no
sure.
one would have ever sued them. Getting NCAA violations over a meal being provided for you or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
that's ridiculous. Yeah, you sign a jersey, or someone gives you some jerseys or some crab legs, and you're a Heisman Trophy candidate. Or however it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
JT, I don't know if you heard it or you watched the Murph and Andy from, I believe it was last week, but either Murph or Fales went to some restaurant in Des Moines, and it's like a higher end restaurant out here or whatever. And he walked in, you have to get like reservations like 2 months ahead, and someone recognized him and was like, "Hey, your buddy's sitting over there at this other table." He turned around, it was Coach Otts and Joshua Jefferson eating dinner together.
how about that?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
something.
you
I
wouldn't
mean,
see that 10 years ago.
well, Harbaugh was facing issues for getting that dude a cheeseburger or whatever.
Right.
And the
Harbaugh
crazy
was
thing,
cheating. Harbaugh was cheating in every way possible. He was doing whatever it took to get an advantage on someone.
hey, I can't wait for the 30 for 30. Let's get it going here.
That man, as much as I loved him when he coached the Niners, the man is a crook, but I respect it.
Oh, you know what's crazy? They probably could have given all these kids $100 and a copy of the video games for both football and basketball and delayed this for at least probably another 15, 20 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. I haven't seen a
Because
lot of,
that's kind of what that's
that's what set it all off. That's what set it all off.
was the O'Bannon thing, which is why we lost the college game to begin with. But so yeah, that's why. Like currently, I do kind of empathize with the NCAA, where they're doing what they can to set up these rules, but again, like we just talked about. I mean, they were so strict when they were in power that I guess it's just the tides kind of turned in a very extreme direction, and at this point, I think the only thing that'll fix it is legislation. I think the NCAA can't really do anything more. So,
Well, I guess I'll end with this. Is it's scary to think about where we were 5 years ago to where we are now. Even if you go back 7 or 8 years, when Campbell first started coming around, to where we could be. If this is where we are 5 years or 8 years from that, where are we going to be in another 2 or 3 or 4? Or when is the other shoe going to drop? Because it's just kind of like the economy. You can't just keep pumping in money to something that doesn't have any return to you forever and expect, you just can't expect it to keep coming in. That's why you're seeing all this money coming in from private equity now, and they're spending that money before it even hits the door.
But it's all tax write-offs anyway. So if your company's giving an athlete $20 million, you essentially write that off on taxes. I mean, there's got to be a reason why they're able to give that money and never really expect a return on it as far as like production on the field.
Man, I don't know. I don't
know. And then
know.
plus donating money to your alma mater is always a wonderful thing to do at the same time.
That's the thing, though. I mean, you're right. Like a lot of that stuff is considered a tax write-off, whether it's a charitable contribution or just a business expense that you're able to write off. But like, obviously, writing off a tax write-off isn't a dollar-to-dollar benefit. I mean, at most, you're going to get like 25% in return on that benefit. And I think that's one of the, even kind of the larger point at these larger levels, when are these Cody Campbells and people like that going to get sick of throwing money?
That's what I'm saying.
At something that they don't have a return on investment. Like basically every single school is in a compromising position right now. They either have, some super donor that they just have to hope doesn't get fed up. You even have schools like Ohio State that's going into debt. University of Iowa
like that $40 million deficit last year.
The things at Iowa State could get very tumultuous right now, because I don't know if people are realizing this. There's this $21 million kind of salary cap.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Iowa State is paying that out solely from reserves right now. There's about $60 million of reserves funds that the athletic department has right now. Jamie Pollard is using that money to pay players right now. So simple math shows that they can only keep that up for 2 or 3 years. So once those reserves funds are exhausted, Iowa State is going to need to find something else to do. Obviously, there's other thing. I mean, there's the private equity that could happen. The Board of Regents could allow the university to fund the athletic department. That's where a lot of the Iowa State schools are in a compromising position right now. Obviously, more so Iowa State is that I believe right now the Board of Regents does not allow public universities to fund to fund the athletic programs, at least with Iowa and Iowa State. I'm sure UNI is different. And then I know something that Brett Bloom has talked about is this gambling tax. I know there's been some interest in a gambling tax that would be levied at the state level and potentially would help pay NIL. So yeah, right now we're just kind of kicking this problem down the road, and something at least at Iowa State, something's going to need to happen.
That soda can's going to explode at some point.
Yeah,
you can't do it.
Well,
forever.
I'm sure you guys have a committee that's working diligently to just incorporate NIL money in the right manners to really get the guys here for the right reasons and not just throw money at problems and things of that nature. Get somebody who's obviously got some experience, who actually wants to come, and who kind of deserves the money. So, I mean, there's so many different sides to this NIL. It's actually will make your mind just explode, to be honest with you.
Well, and then you think about it, like we're only talking about football. This goes on, and I mean, really the only other sport that it's majoring in is college basketball. But I mean, that's D1 is triple the size in basketball that it is football. And granted, you only have to field 15 guys, and only seven of them matter. But
well, yeah, if Duke football wants to go to the Big 12, I mean, they could just go. They don't even care what basketball thinks or what the rest of the athletics think about it. And, everything really does boil down to college football.
Well, I've seen a bunch of stuff saying that if it continues this way and a bunch of universities start running into deficits, that you could probably see a lot of D1 schools like cease to exist in football, and they'll kind of go the Creighton route, and they'll take the $5 or $10 million that they can raise, and they're going to push it all into basketball, because it's easier to give 5 guys $2 million a piece than it is to give 85 guys $100,000.
Yeah.
Speaking
a
of
lot of things need to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of all the money flowing around here, let's go ahead and kind of break down what we're looking at. I thought we were going to have a good night tonight with a game going on, but I guess I can't read a calendar, so we do not have a game tonight, unfortunately. But
yeah, it's weird those games are. It feels like they should be on today, but they're not.
What matchup between these four are you guys most looking forward to this next week?
I'm going to say Indiana, Alabama. Can Alabama bounce back? What do you have left? You ran college football for so long. Your coach retires. What are you guys doing? Who are you guys?
Yeah,
I think I agree. I think I agree with that. It's kind of the dynasty of old meeting the potential new dynasty in college football, and it's kind of who's.
Will they just be fourth best for like the next 10 years, or or you guys going to sneak back in there and take what's yours? Or I'm just kind of seeing them, really, really fight. Show just come to play. You know what I'm saying? Play some defense, get some turnovers. Run the ball well.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Indiana, that Cignetti's a hell of a fucking coach.
They're well coached. I will give you that.
I mean, his post game presser on the podium there after winning that Big Ten championship. I know we talked about this before in the past, how it doesn't matter, but for a program that hasn't been shit for 110 years, for him to kind of just shake that off and be like, we got bigger fish to fry here. We don't care about this thing. Like, we got more to do. Like, just seeing stuff like that, it gives hope to. Well, it gives hope to Iowa State and, the Kansas States of the world that were so bad for forever that, maybe it is possible if you get the right culture, the right guys. Well, I guess, and if you have a $40 million budget, that helps too. But
yeah,
for me, it's the Texas Tech Oregon game. The Big 12 has to win this game. They have to win this game. If Texas Tech loses to Oregon, everything the Big 12 is trying to work for is going to crumble, and they are going to be relegated even farther down the list of, conferences that should be taken seriously. It's already getting pretty bad, but if they have a first-round exit 2 years in a row, it's gonna be really hard to come back from that.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that wholeheartedly. I hear what you're saying, and you want to represent your conference. You want them to do well. You want them to go deep, if not win a national. If your team doesn't, you would like someone from the conference.
Which is horrible, by the way, having to root for a conference. God.
Yeah, I mean, it is what you got, man. As sports fans, when our team falls short, it's next man up.
You gotta root for the brothers.
That's why you go to Nebraska games. That's why I go to Iowa State basketball games. We're supporting each other. I look forward to seeing Ohio State. With them taking that loss to Indiana. Are they ready to bounce back? I know Miami is solid, but Miami has been coming up short for way too long. So I'm just waiting to see what Ohio State does.
The one thing I'm not looking forward to in that game is having to see Carson Beck's face again. I could easily go with
driving you crazy.
Man, dude, it looks like a car accident happened on that or something. I don't know. He's got to do something. But
Just don't hate on your fellow brethren.
Oh, I will hate all I want. He ain't ever gonna hear this, and if he does, hey bro, come on the pod. Come on the pod. Let's talk.
Well, you dropped his name, Never know.
I hope so. That'd be great for us. Great exposure. Hey, we'd love to have you on, bro. Come on. And then Ole Miss.
And then
Georgia.
You look at yes. Oh, that's going to be a very intriguing matchup, especially with Ole Miss losing so much. The players did not decline. They wanted to go and play and prove that it's not just coaching. We got heart, we got talent, and we want to prove the world. So I think that's pretty cool. I believe this their second matchup this season.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I believe this is their second.
Oh man, we lost everybody there. Power surge.
But yeah, I know that Ole Miss played Tulane, and maybe they played Georgia. I mean, I guess there's so many teams in the SEC. It's possible. Yeah, they did. Ole Miss played Georgia on October 18th. Georgia.
And it was a shootout, wasn't it?
35. Yeah, 43-35.
Yeah, it was a shootout. So
yeah,
let's see what we got.
That's kind of interesting that Ole Miss's first and second college football playoff games are rematches from earlier in the season. That's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
I think the big thing on that game is where the coaching staff is, where their heads at. I think there was some video of some of those guys rolling up at LSU while some of them still have obligations to Ole Miss. So I think Georgia's going to roll.
That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking chalk here. I don't know if anybody thinks any of the. I mean, obviously, maybe one of you guys thinks that Oregon's going to win, but in this case, I think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 coming out to the next round.
Yeah,
I think Oregon has the talent. I think they have the coaching. It's just
Oregon damn near lost to Iowa. Oregon damn near lost to Iowa this year. I have no faith that Oregon.
Iowa is a tough team. They play tough. They don't do anything really special, but they play tough. There's a reason why people have a hard time playing them.
And I think Texas Tech would dog walk Iowa. I can't tell you how thankful I was that Iowa State did not have to see them on the schedule this year, because they probably would have lost 47-17 or some crazy shit like that. That team is. This will be the experiment to see if you can legitimately buy a championship. This Texas Tech team is the experiment to see if you can do that.
All right, guys, let's take a second to shout out our sponsors. I want to give a shout out to Hybrid Promotions, OTT Records, Selfmade the Label. You can get all your merch needs at selfmadelabelhybrid.com. If you use code SLIM, you get 15% off. If you use code JT, you get 50% off. Just give us a look, and if you have anything, we'll go ahead and address it for you. All right, back to you, Roberts.
Yeah, baby, check that stuff out. We're always trying to add new stuff to it and continue to grow what we got. You guys got anything else you want to add on that? Are you ready to kind of move on? I know we're sitting here about the 45-minute mark. We're trying to keep it to an hour.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
to move
before
on.
we switch to NFL, I want to get Uncle Juice in here so he can break down the NFL with you guys, if that's all right with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Josh. So just give me the cue when you make that switch happen.
I guess we can. JT, I know we didn't have really much to talk on basketball this week because it's a
Yeah, I think we
sleepwalk
can
of a
skip
schedule
basketball.
right now. Oh, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Just
Well,
kind of,
yeah, we can.
just kind of pull up the rankings here, see where we're at. Biggs, I don't know if you can see this. I didn't really look.
Yeah, I can
hard.
see it.
I don't
can
see.
see it.
Oh, there they are. Nebraska's sitting at 22 right now, 12-0. Clone sitting at 12-0 at number 3, and then JT, unfortunately, Iowa's sitting there at 18.
It's horseshit.
We'll see what happens coming up here. One thing I did want to touch on with the clones here. The next time we come on, we will be moving into the conference schedule. That is not what I wanted to pull up, but we can skip that for now. We can go ahead and move into the NFL if you want to bring Juice in there, Bakes.
All right. Well, everybody, I love you. I'll catch you on the next episode. I'm gonna bring in Uncle Juice, and he's gonna go ahead and write out the rest of the show with you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
See you, Vic.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess while they're kind of making
Yep.
that transition, I'll kind of talk very very briefly about my team. Obviously, the Packers have had kind of a eventful past 7 days. Obviously,
man, yeah.
let's
get into that real quick here.
One of the most heartbreaking losses you'll ever see. You know, they were really dominating the Bears, kind of pillar to post, and onside kicks come back to bite the Packers once again. As Packers fans know, it was almost a carbon copy to what happened in the 2014 NFC Championship game against Seattle, where they Brandon Bostic infamously lost an onside kick, and they lost on a Russell Wilson pass, very similar to the one that Caleb Williams threw. So it was definitely a demoralizing loss. At the end of the day, it didn't have a huge impact in the grand scheme of things. And that's coming from, I mean, obviously you would have liked to win the NFC North. I'm not as big on winning the division. I just like to get into the playoffs. And then the Packers did with the kind of upset win yesterday with the Vikings beating the Lions. The Packers did clinch a playoff spot. They're hanging on at that number seven spot. So kind of a lot of the potential drama pretty quickly dissipated in Green Bay. Still technically could play for the division, but like I said, I think at this point the Packers are going to play the Bears in the first round of the playoffs. We just don't know where that game's going to be played. It's probably going to be played at Soldier Field, and I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's just we'll see what Malik Willis has for against the Ravens tomorrow. Jordan Love didn't pass concussion protocol. But yeah, that's what I've got in the Packers. Now we got Juice in here, we can kind of bring it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and
bring macro.
Yeah, let me go ahead and bring him in here for everybody that didn't see him pop in there at the bottom corner. We got Uncle Juice with us tonight, joining us again this week after being with us last week. How you doing, my man?
Oh man, looking at them standings and seeing my Niners doing their thing, man. I'll be doing a little better if we get 2 more home wins.
I'm gonna need a win from you and a loss. That's what I need from you.
Just like Coach said, we're gonna take it one game at a time, bro. It's so lovely right now in this rebuilding year that we supposed to be, because the 49ers, we don't know how to rebuild. We just know how to win. The Packers, I'm wondering what's going on with them with Jordan Love with that concussion. That was, I don't know if Chicago would have beat them without that happening in that game.
I don't know if Chicago wins that game if they played it 100 more times in that scenario that they were backed up to at that point.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, basically the Packers didn't have their best offensive player and their best defensive player. So as a Packers fan, I wasn't too sure. I mean, but besides kind of the shock and awe of how we lost, at the end of the day, I wasn't too concerned. Well, when it comes to Jordan Love's injury, it's certainly concerning, I guess, in the long term. As long as he's ready come playoffs, I'm good. But at the end of the day, I think that Malik Willis is a really good quarterback. It's almost kind of disturbing how little anxiety I have when Jordan Love gets knocked out of the game, because that's in the past couple of years,
Good
that's the third or
feeling.
fourth time that's happened, and I have zero sense of anxiety coming into the game. Imagine that as an NFL fan, having zero anxiety with your backup quarterback.
Your
coming
backup
into the
quarterback.
game.
Yeah, usually you're like, all right,
And that's how I feel about Malik
Willis.
Willis.
Pass.
I mean, frankly, Malik Willis is a little better runner than Jordan Love, so really that offense is actually able to open up a little bit. Malik Willis runs a mean zone read game, so yeah, I'm perfectly fine with having Malik here down the stretch. And I mean, obviously, I'd like to have Jordan Love. He's probably got a better ceiling. He's got a little better deep ball than Willis does, but yeah, I'm chilling, man. I feel good with Willis, and I'm going to be sad because he's probably going to get a bag this offseason. So I'm happy for him.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I've been a big advocate. I call him Malik. What you talking about, Willis? You know, he goes out there, he balls out. You know, he can do the same thing Jordan Love does, but my man that had a hard road. He didn't have one of those Teddy Bridgewater roads to the starting lineup, man. When you gotta go constantly be behind an 8 ball, nobody wants you to start. Then when you come in, you got to get your Willie Beeman on, man. It just is what it is. Like Malik Willis is that dude. I've always liked Malik Willis. For some reason, everybody in the NFL, he's the Rodney Dangerfield of the NFL. He gets no respect at all. It's ridiculous.
Well, what it is these quarterbacks that do have promise are coming into these organizations that don't even fucking know how to spell their own name. And
Correct.
they're drafting a quarterback that should maybe sit for a year, second overall, throwing him out with no offensive line, no running back, no, like maybe one decent wide receiver that's played for 3 years, and he gets his ass kicked.
I completely agree. I've been telling people for years that the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers and also the Cleveland Browns are technically the Cardinals too. They're all technically developmental teams in the NFL. You're slightly above a college football team, but you're slightly below a real pro team. Like, okay, I'll put it to you like this. Look at your boy up in Seattle. He spent 4 years for the Jets, then went to the Panthers. Then
he said he was seeing ghosts with the Jets at one point. He came out and said, I'm seeing ghosts out there when he threw 4 picks in the game. Like, dude.
I mean, like, you are who you are, but you get drafted where you get drafted. One of my favorite college wide receivers is Peter Ward. If he would have got drafted a team later, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. But when you get drafted to the Bengals instead of the Ravens at a certain point in time in history, it just is what it is. Like, you're only as good as where you get drafted to. Look at Justin Fields. I'm pretty sure if Justin Fields would have got drafted to a top organization.
He's with the Jets now. They're drowning him out.
You can't cook with the Jets.
He went 4-1 last year with the Steelers. He did well with them, and then they decided they wanted to bring in Wilson, and man, Wilson just needs to get out.
And that name is at the top of my list of guys that could replace Malik Willis as the Packers' backup quarterback next year. Justin Fields would be at number 1 on my list. I think it'd be really fun to see if Matt LaFleur could kind of rehabilitate Justin Fields and kick some of that bad coaching out of his head, and you kind of have a similar redemption story as Malik Willis, because I think Justin Fields is a really good kid. He's really talented, and it'd be fun to kind of see him finally put it together behind Jordan Love.
Yeah,
I got one word for any quarterback who's struggling right now: Minnesota. For some reason, throughout the history of the NFL, Minnesota can get a quarterback who's damn near about to retire and turn this man into a Hall of Famer. I do not know why that organization specifically, but if you a bum quarterback, you about to get out the league,
coach,
go to Minnesota.
I'll tell you why. It's the Sean McVay effect.
Yep, Kevin O'Connell.
But they've been doing this for decades, bro. They did this back when they had Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham was about to quit the league.
But
he went to Minnesota, got Randy Moss, and the rest was history.
The Flash don't win you a championship. You got to have consistency overall.
I just know you can't have JJ McCarthy out here throwing for 60 yards a game to the best
Hey,
receiver in the league.
they got 9 out there throwing touchdown passes, not McCarthy. McCarthy's the bitch that gets injured.
Whichever one is the one who can throw touchdowns is the one I want on the field.
I don't think it's either of them.
I don't care what mental game you try and play. If you suck, you suck. Like, and he
Right.
sucks to me. Like, who am I supposed to believe? The media or my lying eyes?
I would have never drafted McCarthy. If I was a Vikings fan, I would have been really, really upset with that because he threw 10 passes in a championship game win in college.
Slim, we
You can't do
watched
that. You
this.
can't do that in the NFL.
What was his best attribute in college? What did he do best? It was turn
Handle the-
around and hand the ball off, right?
I was just gonna say that.
So what did you expect him to do in the league? He was going to turn into Peyton Manning because he got drafted?
Well, you can't. Justin
It was the
Jefferson.
same thing with Tim
Justin
Tebow. If he
Jefferson
couldn't
isn't,
throw in
isn't a
college,
quarterback or isn't a running back. So
if you can't throw in college, you can't throw in the pros. If you got bad completion percentage in college, it's not going to get better in the pros.
Unless you're Josh Allen.
Unless you Josh Allen. But Josh Allen, I'm pretty sure they built him in a lab like they did Wolverine back in the day.
well, I want to keep this conversation going here, but we got to move to the right side of this picture. Where I know we're all three fans of NFC teams, but we at least got to acknowledge the AFC exists. I don't see
When we
anyone on
talk
this
about
list
the
right now
AFC,
I don't see anyone on this list I believe in winning a Super Bowl. Denver, if
Can
anyone
the
does it,
Pittsburgh
Denver's
Steelers
going to
be
fall
studied?
into it. No.
I need the Pittsburgh Steelers to be studied. They got a revolving door quarterbacks, revolving door wide receivers. Mike Tomlin always figures out a way to have a winning season. They
That's what
always
it is.
want him fired. If he gets fired, he's going to get a job the next day. What is this organization?
Well, they went from
It's all Mike
Tomlin
Tomlin, man.
with Roethlisberger for so many years, and I mean, a quarterback is the vessel that moves your team in the NFL. I mean, if you have a decent defense, you can probably make some noise, but if you really want to win at least 2 playoff games, you got to have a quarterback that can get you more than 200 yards and a touchdown with no interceptions or something like that. You can't. Well, I guess save Jalen Hurts last year, but I guess that's another topic for another day.
They draft good wide receivers. They never want to pay them. They draft quarterback. Like, okay, you drafted Pickett, and you had Pickett in the facility next to you for 4 years. You never figured out that his hands was small until after you drafted him.
Yeah, that was a stupid pick. I never would have. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Pickett.
I just don't understand what they do with their first.
You know what it was?
Picks.
It was his PR after that fake slide in that bowl game that moved him up that list so far.
The value of quarterbacks is just cooked in the NFL. Like, people would trade up for a quarterback that you know's not going to be good
Michael Penix,
just because he's a quarterback. Like Michael Penix, exactly. Man's got
Zach
worse
Wilson.
knees than me. He got worse knees than me in a 40, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, my man tore his ACL like 2 times in college, immediately
Both
in the
knees.
pros.
Both knees.
He's like 27 years old or something because COVID made everything weird.
Yeah, you're seeing that with a couple guys. You're seeing this kind of the same thing with Knicks. And these older quarterbacks, those are kind of actually the guys that are excelling with the Jaden Daniels.
Because they're plug and play. Like, you've been in the pro system for 5 years,
JT, I want to make a call back real quick to earlier in the show. What do we just say Iowa State is switching to is a pro style offense. So
pro style offense.
Under center, hand the ball off, run some play action. One team we haven't really talked about yet is my Rams here. And that's the one thing they do really well is running the play action with Stafford. It gets to a point where they don't even have to fake the handoff. They just got to hold the ball out like this because they run it so well, and they'll be 3 yards separating them as he's making his turn.
Well, you've been gifted a plethora of running backs in that backfield. So, you got at least 2 running backs in that backfield who could start for 14 teams in the NFL.
Don't be
And then you
surprised if
got
don't be
Swifty
surprised if
McVay as the
Corum
coach.
beats out Williams.
I could see that, but Williams is out there. He know what it is. Like he see Corum and he know who Corum is, so he's trying to ball out. But at running back, it seems like the smaller the better. Barry Sanders was a tiny man, but he would get microscopic on you on that field. But as
Well,
far as the AFC, I mean, it's a couple teams we kind of got to put some respect on their name. Can we put some respect on Jacksonville's name or New England? They both
yeah,
have overachieved like crazy this year.
guys, are we gonna have to watch New England for another 15 years again?
Looks like it.
I don't think we ready for all that. I think that Josh Allen gonna have a little bit to say about that. But we got to get Josh some wide receivers. I have no idea what Buffalo's doing with their wide receiver core.
I mean, they got Keon Coleman. The only thing I know about him is he's all over everything with that Cam Newton video.
My boy is like, you can't keep getting wide receivers off the island of misfit toys. At a certain point, go to Ohio State, go to Alabama. That ball and handle business. It's a lot of teams out here that seem to be wide receiver factories out here in college football, but everybody seems to want to take the quarterback instead of somebody who can catch the ball from the quarterback. We got Phillip Rivers out here at 44 years old. So clearly there's no lack of quarterback talent.
I think there's definitely a lack of quarterback talent. Someone's got to
that's why we need NFL Europe and, XFL and stuff like that. The NFL needs different pools to pull talent from. Like, we used to get quarterbacks that used to come up from the CFL come in here and ball out. Like, you have to have different ways other than just we're going to go to this specific school to go get a quarterback every year. Because quarterback is, like you said earlier, it's the hardest position to account for on the field. So that's why you see NIL people spending $3, $4, $5 million on the man. Because once you get that part in place, everything else seems to get a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's I don't know, that could be maybe the one thing that helps them out. We got this echo. It might be me.
I think it's on Juice's side. I think. Yeah. I mean, we're at the hour, and we might as well wrap.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep. It's Uncle Juice there. Yeah. Juice, I'll bring you in here in a minute. I guess it's nice to see that it's not going to be the goddamn Chiefs, in the playoffs this year. So I'm happy to see that. The NFC is where the champion's coming out of this year.
Agreed.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
Josh Allen, but there's no Lamar Jackson. There's no Patrick Mahomes. It's looking like we finally gonna get somebody new and that's what everybody wants. Everybody just wants somebody new to hold up that trophy.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you who I'd pick from the AFC.
Weirdly, I would say Jacksonville because they don't know that they're the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. My pick personally was going to be the Chargers because I know what Harbaugh like to do.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for them, there's always 26.
Oh,
All right,
the Chargers. I assume their running back will get injured. The wide receivers will get injured, and then that'll be that.
Like I said, there's always 26, baby. All right, gentlemen, we're sitting here at the hour and 4-minute mark. I know we try to keep it tight, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and land this plane for us real quick. One time, real quick before we sign off, I want to thank the sponsors again: Hybrid Promotions, Self-Made the Label Music, Self-Made the Sports Network. We appreciate them and kind of helping us build this platform and giving us a place to be able to talk. Big show coming up on the 16th. If you're going to be in Omaha, get at us for tickets. We'll have them for you, $10 a piece. For Friday Night Live, I am Slim, joined as always by JT and our new associate in Uncle Juice.
Hip Hop Chronicles Volume 1. Don't forget it.
We appreciate having you guys tune in with us, and we'll catch you next week. It'll be the first show of the new year. So stay safe, everyone, on New Year's Eve, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
Good one.